Imagine you're packing up to move, or maybe you're finally upgrading to that lightning-fast internet plan. You yank out the old router, toss it in a cardboard box, and think, I'll deal with this later. Well, what if I told you that mishandling that one simple little internet router return could trigger a massive, completely unexpected, unreturned equipment fee of up to $500? Yeah, literally $500 down the drain.
It happens all the time, but it absolutely does not have to happen to you. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're building your ultimate shield against ISP billing errors, non-return fees, and those massive logistical headaches. We are going to dive deep into the specific, and let's be honest, sometimes totally baffling, return protocols of the major internet providers, all to help you protect your wallet. To get you through this without a scratch, we've broken this down into a quick 6-step roadmap. We'll assess your requirements, initiate contact and prep, choose your return method, pack and label the equipment, document and follow up, and finally, avoid those sneaky fees and pitfalls. Let's get right into it.
All right, step 1. Assess your return requirements. We need to know exactly what goes back to the company and what stays with you.
This first phase is absolutely crucial, guys, because if you overpack, you're just wasting time and maybe accidentally giving away your own property. But if you underpack, bam, surprise charges. Basically, there's a clear line drawn between your expensive core assets and everyday wiring. Things like your modem, your router, or a smart TV receiver, those are core leased assets. No question, they must go back. But consumer consumables, like a standard coaxial cable, basic Ethernet cords, or splitters, most operators actually don't want those back at all. In fact, providers like Xfinity and Spectrum explicitly state that these standard cables do not need to be returned, and keeping them won't trigger any fees. So keep your cables if you want them.
Now, there is a massive exception here, and you really need to pay attention to this one. Do not remove permanently installed fiber equipment. I can't stress this enough. Pulling these devices off the wall is a huge mistake that directly violates provider protocols. For AT&T, you have to leave their wall-mounted ONTs. That stands for optical network terminals, and fiber jacks exactly where they are. Same goes for Spectrum. They require their SON fiber modems to stay on site. And Quantum Fiber, they explicitly warn customers not to unscrew their smart NID boxes. These are considered permanent parts of the property, kind of like the plumbing. Leave them alone.
And this brilliantly illustrates why you cannot just assume all ISPs play by the same rules. Just look at how wildly these return timelines vary across the industry. If you're with Cox, you have a razor-thin 10-day window to get your gear back before they start hitting you with hundreds of dollars in fees. 10 days. Spectrum gives you 15 days, AT&T gives you 21, and Xfinity gives you a standard 30 days. On the more generous end, HughesNet gives you 45 days. You see what I mean? You absolutely must know your specific provider's deadline or you're going to get burned. Moving right along to step 2, initiate contact and prep. It's time to disconnect, sanitize, and gather your details.
Look, just tossing a router in a box and dropping it in the mail isn't enough. You need to prep your account digitally first. So here's your checklist. First up, make sure you've properly disconnected your service. Some providers have super specific rules for this. For example, Mediacom actually requires a minimum of 7 days written notice before they'll disconnect you. Crazy, right? Second, gather your account number and the serial numbers printed on the devices. Oh, and if you're returning mobile equipment, you'll need the IMEI number ready for customer care. Finally, and this is a big one for your personal privacy, perform a complete factory reset on any smart hubs or routers. You want to completely wipe your cached personal data and wireless credentials before handing it over.
All right, step 3, choose your return method. Are we doing an in-store drop-off, mail-in, or scan and ship?
Once your account is prepped and your data is wiped clean, you generally have 2 main paths to get that physical hardware back to the corporate warehouse. An in-store drop-off at an official retail location, that is the absolute gold standard for peace of mind. Why? Because you get face-to-face confirmation and the equipment is instantly wiped from your account balance the very second they scan it. Done and dusted. On the other hand, mailing it in via UPS or FedEx is incredibly convenient with thousands of drop-off locations everywhere and really reliable digital tracking. I do want to highlight a surprisingly helpful exception in the industry here. If you, or maybe a family member, might struggle with a physical drop-off, Cox Communications actually offers a free technician pickup service for homebound, elderly, or disabled subscribers. It's a fantastic service, but remember, you have to schedule it in advance to make sure you hit that strict 10-day return window we talked about.
Now for step 4, pack and label equipment. Let's talk about securing your hardware for transit.
If you're handling the shipping yourself, listen up because this is where so many people make careless errors that lead directly to damaged equipment fees. Let's walk through the foolproof packing procedure. First, put the equipment in a sturdy cardboard box. And please, whatever you do, do not forget to include the power cords. Missing power supplies are a hugely common reason for extra fees. Second, wrap the item securely in bubble wrap or some thick paper. Third, grab some twist ties and secure those cords so the metal prongs don't scratch up the router during transit. And lastly, attach your prepaid label and make absolutely sure you cover up or remove any old shipping labels on the box. You do not want this thing getting lost in the mail system.
Now I know what you're thinking. What if I threw away the original box? Well, let me relieve some anxiety here. Several major ISPs participate in these brilliant, no-box-required scan and ship programs. If you have Xfinity, Spectrum, AT&T, or Verizon, you can literally just walk into a participating UPS store or FedEx office if you're with AT&T, hand the clerk your unboxed equipment, and they will pack it and ship it for you, completely free of charge. How easy is that?
We are in the home stretch. Step 5, document and follow up, which is all about protecting yourself from billing errors.
Listen closely to me right now, because this is the absolute golden rule of this entire explainer. Keep your physical or digital receipt for at least 6 months. Keep it. It is literally your get-out-of-jail-free card. Because here's the reality. Even if you do everything perfectly, a warehouse audit might mistakenly flag your account months down the line. If you don't have that tracking receipt proving you dropped it off, you might be forced to pay the non-return fee anyway. So, one more time for the folks in the back. Keep the receipt.
And finally, step 6, avoid fees and pitfalls. Let's go over some common mistakes and how to dodge them.
Let's rapid-fire a few highly specific traps hidden deep in provider policies so you can effortlessly sidestep them. Number 1, you might assume you can just return AT&T gear to an AT&T retail store. Well, you can't. They will not accept it. You have to use FedEx or UPS. Number 2, never use an unstaffed FedEx Dropbox. You need a human at a retail counter to scan it and give you that essential receipt. Number 3, if you're returning by mail with Optimum, their policy specifically asks you to write your name and account number on a piece of paper and put it inside the box. And number 4, for you HughesNet satellite internet customers out there, do not go ripping the entire dish off your roof. You are only supposed to unscrew and return the little radio transmitter.
Here's a question we see all the time. Should you still bother returning the equipment if it was already damaged by a power surge or it has a broken port? The answer is a resounding yes. Absolutely. Returning the physical hardware, even if it's completely fried in a non-working state, proves to the provider that you didn't illegally sell their device. Getting it back to them usually satisfies the requirement and waives that massive non-return fee.
Before we wrap this up, a very quick professional disclaimer. The telecom industry evolves incredibly fast, and while this explainer covers the most up-to-date general practices for these major providers, policies can and do shift. It is always a really smart move to double-check the specific terms and conditions of your individual service agreement just to be absolutely certain you're in the clear.
And that brings us to the end of our roadmap. You now have the ultimate blueprint. You know exactly what to pack, what to leave bolted to the wall, how to leverage those awesome free scan and ship programs, and exactly why that drop-off receipt is your new best friend. So the only question left for you is, are you ready to conquer your ISP's return process, follow up on your account, and most importantly, protect your wallet? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. And hey, happy packing!